What's going on, everybody? It's Yasir back with another video. Today we're going to be talking about how to handle the objection when your client says, I want to think about it, or let me get back to you next week, or give me a couple of days and I'll get back to you, or let me check my finances. How do you handle that objection, especially when you talk to them for a whole hour and it comes right at the end and you feel like a deer in headlights and you don't know how to get the sale when you're so close? We're going to talk about that in this video. On this channel, we talk all about how to set up your coaching business, how to raise your prices and earn more revenue. If that's the kind of content you're interested in, make sure to like this video, support the channel, and subscribe. So let's get into the psychology of where this objection comes from. Now, I can teach you the tactics of what to say, how to say it, but unless you know why your client is saying this, you won't understand how to tackle it. If I can teach you the concept, you will understand how to have that conversation with your clients, okay? So why does this happen? Why do people say, I want to think about it? Now, I want you to take this with a grain of salt. They don't really need to think about it. Okay? They're saying they need to think about it, but they don't really need to think about it in 99% of the cases. Now, there might be some things that are out of your control, but most things will be in your control. You can save this conversation. You can save this sale. So why are people saying, I want to think about it? If people, suppose you're on a call and you're telling them about your program, you're telling them about the price, but for some reason they aren't convinced. They don't see enough reason that your product or service will work for them. They don't see that it's going to satisfy what they're looking for, and they're not sure if they can either trust you, trust your company, or trust your service. Then they're not going to say that. They're not going to say, I don't trust your service. I don't think you're good enough. I don't think you can solve my problem. They're not going to say that because it's uncomfortable to say that. It's uncomfortable to say that to someone. If someone walks into your office and says, hey, I've got this $10,000 service that I want to help you out with, and you don't want to say no to them, but you also don't want to say yes to them, what you'll do is you'll say something like, let me think about it, I'll let you know tomorrow or day after, and then you'll slip them an email. You shoot them a little email, or if you're a coach, you probably experienced this, a lot of people will just ghost you. They just won't reply. They'll never reply to any of your emails. Why do they do this? Because it's uncomfortable to tell someone the real reasons we won't buy. The real reasons might be you haven't done a good enough job of telling me that this product or service works. You haven't given me enough reason to believe I should buy from you and not from that person. You haven't given me enough reason to believe that what you are offering with your services is going to work. Your client does not want to say that. Yes, some clients will just come out and say, you know what, I don't think this is going to work, or I don't think this is worth the money. Some people will say that, but you'll find a lot of clients who say, I want to think about it, they don't want to voice that. So what they will do is they will distance themselves from the sale, from the conversation. They'll hear the price and they'll be like, okay, I don't want to make this judgment right now. I feel uncomfortable. There's a part of me that does not feel comfortable parting with my money and saying yes, and I don't quite know how to describe it in my head. I don't quite know what it is, but there's something about this that doesn't make sense in my head to justify buying this right now. Sometimes they might know what it is. Sometimes they might not know. So if someone's not sure about a product, they're not even sure what they're not sure about. So oftentimes what happens is someone will say, I want to think about it, and coaches will say, well, what do you need to think about? And it becomes very confrontational because people are trying to just let loose a little bit. They're trying to get off the phone. They're trying to get off the pressure of making a sale. So when you say, what do you need to think about? Much of the time, they don't even know what it is that they don't understand. They just know there is some hesitation that they are feeling that's preventing them from buying, and they either feel uncomfortable expressing that if they know, or they don't even know what it is. So they don't want to commit based on a lack of certainty. Now that you've understood this, the reason people are saying they want to think about it is not because they actually want to think about it. It's because they feel uncomfortable to voice the real reasons why they won't buy from you. Maybe they don't want to buy from you, maybe they're not convinced your service is going to solve the problem, or maybe they just don't trust that they need it. It could be a variety of different things, right? But there is a hesitation, that there is a gap between the service you provide and the result that they want. It might even be the price. Some people feel very uncomfortable saying, hey, listen, I don't even have that much money in my bank account. I'll think about it and I'll let you know. So what do you do? What do you do? Now that you understood this, now that you understood why people are saying it, what do you do? The first thing is you don't give them time to think about it. Okay, now this might sound, what do you mean? I can't force the sale on them. No, you're not forcing it at all. But what you are doing is if they say they want to think about it, that directly translates to you haven't given me enough reason to buy. I'm not convinced that I want to buy. There's something holding me back that even I can't describe. So if you end the call there, you're not giving them time to think about it. You're leaving them at a state where they are confused, they don't really know what they want, and they don't even know why they aren't buying. They don't know what the gap is. So this is an opportunity for you to recognize, okay, this person does not have all the information they need to make an accurate assessment. So if they say, I want to think about it, your response should not be, what do you want to think about? Or, yeah, sure, take a day or 2 days. Why? Because when you hang up the phone, they're not thinking about you. They're not thinking about your service. Other things happen. They start watching TV, going out with their family. Tomorrow they're doing something else. They're going on vacation. And by the time you follow up with them in 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 days, a week, they're like, yeah, you know what? I thought about it. I'm not interested. Why? Because we don't even retain 1% of the information a week later. We forget 99% of what we discussed and what conversation we had. Think about it. Maybe you were on a phone call with someone a week ago or 2 weeks ago. How much of that conversation will you remember a week or 2 weeks later, right? So it's important when you're building that conversation with your clients, when you build that emotional high with them where they want to buy, they know enough about your service, they know enough about you, you need to get them to buy either then or right after your conversation. This is crucial. You will lose so many sales because people are confused at the end of the call. They're saying they want to think about it because they're confused, they're uncomfortable, and you let the call slip there. You let the call end there. Don't do that, all right? What I do when people say they want to think about it right at the end of the call, I'll say, I completely understand you want to think about it. A lot of my clients, when they come to me before they start working together, a lot of them want to think about it, but I find it's usually one of two things. They're either not sure about the price, or they don't have the money, or they're not sure the service is for them. Which one is it for you? And I'll lay it out for them because it makes it easier for them to choose once there are options. You see, when you ask people what do they want to think about, they don't want to tell you the reasons. But when you put the reasons out in front of them, it's a lot easier for them to choose. So you can say, I totally understand you want to think about it out of curiosity, just because a lot of my clients in the past wanted to think about it as well. It usually is one of two things. It's one, that they don't have the money for it, which I understand, it is expensive. Or two, they're not sure whether it's for them, or they're not sure if it's going to work. If you're being totally transparent with me, which one of the two is it? And 99% of the time, they will pick one or the other. Or they will tell you what it is. Oh, you know what, the price is great and I think it works really well, but I actually really need to talk to my wife, or I need to talk to my husband. And that's a completely different objection altogether. But then they will give you the true objection. So what you're trying to do is, I want to think about it is not really the objection. I want to think about it is, I'm not convinced, I don't even know what the problem is, or I do know what the problem is, I just don't want to say it. You want to get the real objection out and then you want to deal with it. So for example, you say, usually when my clients say they want to think about it, and it's very often, a lot of them are concerned about the price, or they're just not sure if it's going to work. If you're being totally transparent with me, and I like saying that because then they're just transparent with me, right? If you're being totally transparent with me, which one of the two is it? And they'll appreciate it because you have taken the burden off of their shoulders. You have brought it up yourself, all right? So they'll say, well, Yasir, you know what? I just want to make sure this program is for me. I want to make sure this solves my problem. So then it's not I want to think about a problem or a price problem. They're just not convinced it's for them. So if they say, I'm not sure, completely understand that. I might not have done a good enough job of explaining it. If you had to tell me, what are some things that you're unsure about? Or what are some things that aren't making sense for you? Or what would make this a no-brainer for you? They will literally tell you, you know what, I'm not really sure about this about the program, that about the program, that about the program. And once they lay that out for you, you can say, okay, other than these things, is there anything else holding you back? And if there is, they will pile up more objections, and then you can deal with all of them at once and then close again. Or they say, no, you know what, that's the only thing it is. Okay, perfect. So if that wasn't an issue, would there be anything else holding you back? Nothing. Great. You go and you deal with that main objection they had. Once that's dealt with, you've got yourself a sale. And if they say, hey, you know what, the price is a problem, I'm not really sure about the price. Okay, perfect. Completely understand that. It is a big investment. What would make this easier for you? And at this point, they'll either say, well, do you have an installment plan? Can you do multiple plans? Can I pay in a week? Can I pay? That depends entirely on your service. But then you have options. And you can say, okay, so it sounds like it's a lot of money for you up front. Is that right? Yes, it is a lot of money for me up front. Okay, here's what I'll do. If you're willing to sign up today, we can do half now and half a month later. How does that sound? And then, again, the true objection has been revealed, and you can deal with that objection. Of course, these are examples. So you can see how the I want to think about it objection really isn't an objection. I want to think about it means I am not sure enough to buy. I am not convinced to buy. I am uncomfortable buying with the level of certainty I feel that this service will solve my problem. Your job here is not to leave the call and I want to think about it. This is one of the main mistakes that coaches make, but to reveal the true objection, reveal what is it that's actually holding them back, and then dealing with that. I can't tell you how many coaches I've worked with who would leave a call and I want to think about it, and I would tell them to do this, and they're like, no, this sounds really uncomfortable. I don't want to do this. And then they would go ahead and do it anyway. And then the client will actually tell them the objection. They will actually tell them the problem was this, the problem was that. And my coaches are like, oh my God, I didn't even think about that. I didn't even think about that. I thought this would be so difficult, but because I brought it up, it became a lot easier for my clients to talk about it. Okay, so if you ever get the I want to think about an objection, don't leave the call there. Try to reveal the real cause of the objection, and oftentimes you can just give them options. I totally get it. I totally get you need to think about it. And just so I'm being transparent, a lot of my clients say the same thing, and they have one or two concerns. It's either they don't have the money for it, or it's the price, or they're just not sure it's going to work. If we're being totally transparent, which one of the two is it? You get them to choose, you figure out what the real objection is, and then you help them understand why that objection isn't a big deal, okay? I hope this helped you out. By the way, I do have a full program which helps coaches start their business, raise their prices, and we go in depth into sales conversations. I teach you the exact script, the exact structure, what to say, how to say it, and we do training all the time, and I supervise my clients going through their calls to make sure they're not making these minor mistakes. This is just one example of the many situations that you will find yourself in, especially if you're like one of my clients who sell packages upwards of $2,000. If that is what you're interested in, check out the links in the description where you can book a call with me and see if you are a fit for the program. I hope this helped you out. If it did, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel. We'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.